My name is Melinda Hart. You are watching Stamping with Hart. I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and we are going to be working with gorgeous leaves again tonight. So these are the two stamp sets that we're going to be working with tonight. I have a lot of my card pieces and everything pre-cut or pre-done because I really wanted to focus on the baby wipe technique tonight. Let me know where you're watching from. Have you ever tried the baby wipe technique? Anyway, here are some of the cards that I made. So let me just kind of show you those. We did a couple of different color combos, a couple of different stamp combinations, but it turned out really cute. You could do the splatter and the leaves, or just the splatter, depending on how you want to do your edging. And these are the holiday rhinestones, by the way, that I used on these cards, just because the color theme was so similar. But anyway, we'll get back to that. And then I did this. So let me just show you guys this really quickly, because if you do the baby wipe technique, it turns out you can get like entire pages done without having to re-ink. So once you create your little color combo, you can actually stamp out an entire sheet before you would have to reactivate any of the color. So that's pretty cool. And then I was just playing around with the different colors and things. Let me show you what the splatter looks like. A lot of people with the baby wipe technique actually do like this striped, like they kind of pull the baby wipe, they fold it in half and they pull it down and make like striped backgrounds and everything. And that was cool. What you're gonna need are some baby wipes. Now, I heard somebody say on a live that it's a good idea if you guys have disposable gloves at home, if you have disposable cleaning gloves or whatever, if you're going to be using tons and tons of ink and re-inkers and baby wipes, if you don't want to get it on your hands, it's a good idea to use the gloves. I do not have gloves, but you can see it's all over my hands. So I did my best to kind of clean that up, but they were right. It can get a little bit messy, but it was part of the fun. So you're going to need a plate or, something that you can wipe down. Some people have like glass mats. If you have like a glass mat to put down, just something that's going to be easily wipeable and cleanable. And then you're going to use some baby wipes. So it doesn't matter what brand or what type of baby wipes you use, from what I understand. I have these 7th generation ones here, but just whichever ones you happen to have or that are the cheapest at the store. I'm going to stack a couple up. I'm going to do like 3 because it really does start to soak through. And the concept with the baby wipe technique is you basically create your own ink pad. So that's kind of the thought process there. And you can decide. See, I still have, you can see the ink is coming off on the wipes, but you can decide what you want your combo to be. Now, I watched a bunch of tutorials on this. Some people had very specific patterns and some people were random in what they did. So I'm going to go with the more random, but the most important thing is you want to kind of go with the size of your stamps, right? So if I was going to use my largest splatter stamp, I would want to make sure that I had a nice big circle here. So that's what we're going to do. If you're just using a very small stamp, something like that, you could do like a smaller area. I'm going to do a larger area just for me, but as long as it's going to fit your stamp, that's basically what you're going for. So for the first color combo that we're going to do, we'll see how we do with time. But this one is Pumpkin Pie, Cajun Craze, Crushed Curry, and Garden Green. So I kept this all in the Regals family. So if you guys happen to buy, the re-inkers for a certain color collection, these are all in the Regals. And then the other color combo, let me just tell you now, just in case I get caught up, this is also Regals. Okay, so all of these re-inkers are from the Regal collection. It's Rich Razzleberry, Cherry Cobbler, and Garden Green. I was really liking this with the leaves. So that would be the other combo. And then I'm going to go random. So I don't have any particular, type of pattern that I want to do with my reinkers, but I want to get a larger area. So we're just going to start putting our reinker ink down. And I'm telling you what, if you guys weren't in the mood or you weren't quite ready for fall yet, when you start doing this, you're going to be so ready. You're going to, if you haven't decorated yet and you like to decorate, you're going to be like, get out the fall leaf garland because I'm ready. And I'll actually show you guys a decoration that kind of inspired me for this. So that was Cajun Craze. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take pumpkin pie and I'm going to kind of start like filling in and then going on the outside a little bit. So I want a lot of Cajun Craze and I want a lot of pumpkin pie. So I'm going to put a bunch of this down, just kind of all throughout here. And we're just going to kind of start filling in these holes a little bit. Now, for me, I decided to use a lot of my reinker because I'm going to be making a lot of these cards. I have to send out thank you cards. So some of you will actually be getting these. And then the next one is going to be crushed curry. So we're going to keep with that pattern where any of the white on the baby wipe that I see, I'm going to start filling in those blanks basically. And it starts to like meld together and create its own little color. So sometimes it looks like it's just that patch and sometimes it really like blends really well. And then for the garden green, I just want hints of it. So basically I want the leaf to be like turned, but I still want that hint of green. So I'm only going to put a couple of drops of garden green. So like, we'll just say like maybe 4. So 1, 2, I'll go like up here, 3, and then 4. So I'm going to take my stamp. I'm just going to go right in. I'm not pressing too hard, just enough to pick up the color. And then I'm just going to press it down here. And that is what we get. And you just do this over and over and over again. You don't really have to clean your stamp in between. I did not find, I wouldn't do like a lot of rubbing. I would just kind of like dab it down and then take it to the paper. And one of the things that I discovered, I'm going to do all of this leaf first for this particular one. So what I started to discover was the harder you press and the juicier it gets, the more watercolory it looks. Okay, so I'm just going to do different angles as I go. And because we have this little bit of splatter pattern as part of the stamp going, like it just adds, you know what I mean? It really just makes it look like a background, but really, really easy. And it's just like a wow, you know? So let me just show you. I brought a couple of fall decorations up when I started designing, and you see how they had like all of the different coloration there on that little, you know, it's almost like we have a Cajun Craze and a pumpkin pie pumpkin here. Like everything I see, I kind of see in Stampin' Up! Colors. So crushed curry right there. We have some old olive right there. That's kind of how I see it. And I was like, ooh, and that inspired me to do these leaves. So I've just had it kind of sitting right here. Okay, so that would be, you know, for the background. So then the other thing that I started to do was kind of edge it, because you guys know that I love to do frames, but I also started looking for stamps that had really big, bold sentiments, and it just picks it up just as beautifully with a sentiment stamp as well. So if that's what you want your whole card theme to be, you can do that. And then here is like the other leaf for the inside. So we can go around the edges of a layer here. And then let me just show you this really quickly. So this is when the color started to run out and it started to get a little more faded looking. So still gorgeous, just a little bit lighter. And then this one here is all the same leaf. So instead of using all the leaves, like here I used each of the different size leaves. On this one, I only used the little one, this little guy right here. That one. And that looked just as cute. So just depending on what you want your pattern to be, that's what you can do. So I'm gonna go around and we'll just edge this. So I'm going to get a new pattern. Okay. Okay. And then you would just put your sentiment right in the center. So like just like that. And this actually has a bundle where you can cut out leaves. So you can either, let me just show you. So they're right here. It's called Intricate Leaves Dies. And these were a few that I had cut out previously. Let me just set that there for a second. Okay, so if you wanted to do some die cut dies, you could do that. Like they cut independent pieces, independent leaves, or there are the outline ones that you can actually cut out the stamped image. So you could use those too. And they have all different size leaves. They have the small, the medium, the large, and they also have this fabulous branch here. So those are Intricate Leaves dies. And here's like one of the big ones and the small ones, just to kind of show you, you know, what that would look like if you would start to build that out. Just really, really pretty. So, you know, just depending on how you would want to do that. And then the other thing that I used, and I want to mention this so that I don't forget. I mentioned the Ornate, what was it? Ornate Thanks stamps. Yes, Ornate Thanks. Okay, so there's something that goes with it called Ornate Layers dies. I think there's actually 2 die sets. But the Ornate Layers, I did use 3 dies from that. So this longer decorative die, this stitched rectangle, which perfectly fits that thank you, and then this little fancier one that says thanks. And one of the reasons I wanted to work with this, I did think that it was really perfect for fall, because even though the baby wipe technique is simple, it's like elevated, you know what I mean? It looks really fancy. You're going to be getting more and more into this for Christmas. And since we're coming towards the end of celebration, don't forget about some of those really knockout annual catalog products, like Ornate Thanks, because we still have to say thank you to people. You can say thank you in all of these different ways. So with this card, we just did really simple stamping with the So Grateful. So literally just the sentiment in here. And then on this one, we actually created a background. So let me show you that really quickly. And if you look at Ornate Thanks, so this one here, just going to move this stuff out of the way really quickly. Okay, so you see all of these different options that you can combine with thank you, my friend, you know, seriously, thank you. Or you could say, I wasn't sure how to thank you. I really loved all of the different sizing on this, and I thought, what if we made like thank you the big sentiment, but did kind of like this vintagey, distressed looking background with all of this handwriting font. Like you don't necessarily read what it's saying, but it's the look of it. So what I did was I grabbed the Stamparatus. You guys know how much I love that. And I put it up, like I lined up all of these sentiments together. So let me see if I can just get this out for you really quickly. Okay. So can you guys see that okay? All right. So the concept here was create a background of words. And what I was wondering, you know, could I actually ink it with this? So could I ink it with the baby wipe technique? And you can. And my suggestion would be, just depending on if you wanted to look bold or faded, use darker ink, you know, when you mix in with the lighter ink, and try to do this part first before you start getting into all of the other stamping, so that the ink is nice and new and you haven't done a ton of stamping off. But basically the way that I did this was I took my, I'm just going to move this stuff out of the way really quickly. I knew I was going to move it, but you take the, oh my goodness, I am drawing a complete blank. The the little rubber mat that I just used for the twins. I'm looking for it as I'm talking to you. I want to say acetate. That is incorrect. I know that you guys will think of it. But anyway, you put that down before you put your baby wipe on it, and that prevents it from getting into your mat on your Stamparatus. If you can't find the mat, I'm just going to use my other Stamparatus. Silicone. Thank you both so much. That was driving me crazy. I can't believe I forgot. And goodness knows where I put it. Anyway, I'm just going to use my second plate. Okay, so I think it will still let me stamp. It should. All right, so I'm just going to put my arm back here. I'm going to set this on the plate. And I'm going to kind of do it like longer ways. And it doesn't matter if I capture it all. I just want to get some of it. Hey, Shelly, how are you? So glad to have you here live. Yeah, that's a little of a tight fit. So I'm going to remove the little foam mat because I have this padding here. Okay. And so I'm getting the ink on it. If you use your silicone mat, it will be thinner and you won't have to worry about that. All right, and I'm just going to grab some color here. Let me move this out of the way. I'm going to put my little mat back. And then let's take another scrap piece. Actually, I'm wondering if I should do the one I just did with the edging. It's okay. So this might be a little on the light side because I already used this baby wipe, but you get the idea. Okay, and so it creates this writing here, and it's in that multicolor, you know, look. So that's how you end up with this card. So I just wanted to mention that because you can really play around with it. So just depending on what you want to do. But now let's put a couple of our cards together, and we're just going to keep them simple. Okay, so there we go. All right, isn't that cool? Oh my gosh, yes, a shaker card would be so perfect with this. The sequins for everything, absolute perfection with this. It would look so good. So this is the warmer color. When I was experimenting with this the first time, I felt like this really big splatter stamp that I used last week was a little too big and detailed for the baby wipes. I felt like I kind of got lost in the details, but I loved the way the little one looked with the baby wipe technique. So I'm also going to do a little splatter pattern here. And then on this side, I'm going to push in. Okay, so I'm really going to push in and kind of like, you see how it looks almost soapy? And then if I come down, do you see how that looks like more watery? You guys, do you want to see it? Okay, yeah, I can do the other color. So I'm going to do the same thing with the leaf because I want you to see the difference. So I'm just pushing down harder and it looks like, you see how that looks watery? So if you want that watercolor technique, you could do that. And then the other piece, I had taken a piece of the basic white and just pushed it into the baby wipe. And if you would want to die cut your leaves with this, I think that that would be really pretty too. You just got to let it dry basically. So I just literally pushed it in And this is not the watercolor paper, this is just the regular paper. But you can get like a pretty good pattern with that, right? And it looks kind of crazy when you're looking at it like this, but once it's dry, if you cut an outline of a leaf, that'd be so cool. Let's do a pattern. So with this one, it was kind of like the leaf was green at the base. So let's just say we're making a triangle or a rectangle or something. So you're kind of like building some color here. So it's like mostly green, and you could do different color greens if you want. And now we're gonna start bringing in that other color. So I'll go in with some cherry cobbler. And if the color looks too separated, we could always, I'm gonna kind of go like in the center there. And then we'll get our rich razzleberry and we'll kind of take this up. So I'm gonna kind of do a little kind of a triangle here. But instead of it being all rich razzleberry, I'm gonna do another dab of green up here. Just kind of let that mesh. I don't think it has to be completely saturated. Like if you have some white in between, I think it's still okay. Isn't that cool? So fabulous. God, I love the way this looks. It's so beautiful. All right, so let's go with this one. Let's go with this one. So you can see all three. And then just depending on how many leaves or how few, like if you want to create a pattern. I was trying to create a pattern with another card and I messed it up. I'll show you. Okay, so with this one, I wanted to go 1, 2, 3 and have like this writing off to the side, kind of do like a vintagey look. And I ended up like wiping my hand down it before the ink was dry. So I messed that one up. And then with this one, I did it coming in from each side, but I didn't do the top. And then I did the splatter pattern in the middle. Okay, so let's see. Let's see. I may have to re-ink it. It actually looks pretty good. So if you want to get a little bit darker, maybe put a couple more drops back on. What do we think? I like that. Let's put it here. Okay. All right, here we go. Definitely use your bone folder on this stuff. Don't be like me. And let me just bring the cards back in and then we can just do a little walkthrough. Make sure there's nothing that I forgot to tell you. When you're cutting down your strips, you can actually make patterns with your strips. So if you wanted to do like a card base like this, and then have like kind of, you know what I mean? Like just kind of trim it here and go all the way down. I have a bunch of scrap paper that I use, so You could create a cool pattern like that and then do your sentiment in the middle, or do a bunch of die cut leaves. It would just be really pretty no matter, no matter what you do. It's going to look awesome. Okay, so here we go. We have these two here, and let me grab these. Okay, so we have that one. We have this one. So we'll put them in our color categories here. And then we have this one. Okay, so whether you want to edge them, whether you want to basically create your own designer series paper, whether you want to do sentiments, if you want to do all words, it just looks so good, I think. Just really, really thrilled with that. So this is Garden Green, the card base here. So we did a basic white, and this is the 1/16 of an inch kind of layer here with Cajun Craze. So if you like that cleaner sort of white cardstock look, that's what this is here. So this is the 4 by 5 1/4, and then the Cajun Craze layer is literally just 1/16 of an inch up from that. And then this is just the white heat emboss on Cajun Craze. And I think, yeah, I think that's it, you guys. So I really, really hope that you loved this project, this tutorial. I really encourage you to do this. If you haven't tried the baby wipe thing, please try it and let me know if you liked it. If you haven't already liked or subscribed, be sure to do that. If I didn't get a chance to mention your comment live, I will be sure to go back through and respond to you and make sure that I say hello. I have a host code up on my Facebook page right now. If you spend $50 or more through the 30th, you will get a little free goodie from me, a little free embellishment from me. Well, thank you all so much, and I will see you again on Thursday. Bye.